Aloha, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the United 808 podcast. I'm your host, Flash, here with our fearless leader, Kalani. How you doing, brother?
Doing good. Another blessed day in Hawaii.
Yeah, you're looking sharp. I like it. I like it. A lot of good news today to get everyone updated on some big victories right out of the gate that I think everyone would be excited to hear about.
You know what? Session is just about to close up at the ledge, and we did have some great victories this session. One of them actually came from our sister union, HCA, and the leadership over there with Randy Pereira. They introduced a bill, and it was regarding our repricing. And for history, the employer always took the position that if they just said no, the repricing would die. With this bill, it actually creates avenues and bridges for us that if there's a stalemate or impasse, we can actually go to arbitration, and the arbitrator can actually award the repricing for our members.
It's sort of mind-boggling to think that arbitration wasn't ever an option before this. I mean, really, on your side of it, there was no option if the employer said no.
Yeah, it was always just us, I hate to say it, but begging, asking, fighting for it, and they just took the position of no, and it would just die. And it was a real morale killer for the members.
Seems completely unfair, too.
Yeah, no, it is. And it's such a huge victory for UPW, HCA, SHOPO, FIRE, all the public sector unions that's going to have this in their back pocket moving forward.
And so now moving forward, if an employer doesn't want to negotiate, then what happens?
So the repricing time is actually, there's windows that we can actually enter into the repricing. So what happens is when we get to that point of an impasse is now we can move forward into the arbitration.
I would think the employers are not happy that this bill passed.
No, you know what? It makes it more fair of a process. I don't think they're unhappy. I don't think they're happy. It's just something positive for us.
And so for this bill specifically, 1640, next steps with the governor, what happens?
So it passed on the floor, and I believe he has to the second week of July to sign off on the bill to make it law. That's
a great, I mean, that is just an unbelievable victory, like you said, not just for UPW, but for a lot of other local unions as well. And again, shout out to Randy for that, taking the lead on that. We have some other great victories to talk about as well over on the Kauai.
You know, Mayor Kalani, we went out there this past week, and we sat down to work out the last of questions we had on an agreement that we're going to put out to members to vote in late June. And what we were able to work out is Kalani is going to create under the Kaiser and HMSA 75-25 plan, the members who want to move to this plan or are in this plan, the employer is going to pick up the cost of the plan and make it 100% for single, two parties, and families. And this is something we've been fighting since taking over administratorship, because we believe that's one of the ways you fill the vacancies. And we have so much vacancies in the county and the state that if you provide that medical plan that's free, more people want to come and work for the jobs.
Yeah. That goes for any job anywhere, right? Medical insurance is not cheap. Most important question about your Kauai trip: did Kawakami make you do a TikTok dance with him?
He will not get that from me no matter what. If Maleko can't get me to do one, Kawakami's not going to get me to do one.
Kawakami, much like Governor Green, also a longtime fan of the United 808 podcast. He's listening, watching right now, and he says, challenge accepted.
Not going to happen.
There's a wide variety of proposals on the table from UPW members themselves that you have to go over right now. Really an astronomical amount of proposals that any member can come to you or, their steward with an idea, right? So this is, like you hear CEOs say, if the janitor has a great idea, I'm going to listen. And this is every UPW member's chance to be like, I've always thought we should do this. How come we don't do that?
I have it right here. This is right here on the site. This is all the proposals for bargaining unit 1.
This is just this year.
Yeah.
You got to go through every one of these.
You got to go through every single one of these. So they had until April 30th 4:30 close of business to get the contract proposal in. And I want to say the finish line was crazy. The emails, text messages, people walking in last minute to get
everybody on Hawaiian time.
On Hawaiian time. And it's actually beautiful to see how much proposals actually came in, because it just shows how motivated the members are. Like you said, they always had this idea in the back of their head. And if they could just put it in writing and get it to the chief steward, get it to the URs, try to get it into the contract, because if it makes the blue book one day or the red book, our contracts, they can actually walk around proud saying that I put that in there.
Yeah, and affected the entire union, right, for the better.
For the better benefit for everyone and their families.
So why don't you give me an example of, we don't need to go over all 400, but let's cherry pick one or two that stand out to you that are great proposal ideas for this year.
You know what? It just goes to show the true working class individuals that we have in our membership. A lot of them has to do with the shoe allowance. Instead of having it as an allowance, make the employer actually pay 100% of the shoe. It's something critical. If you don't have your work shoe, you can't go to work. So have the employer pay it. Juneteenth, a federal holiday. If it's a federal holiday, it's recognized by Congress. Why not make it a state holiday and let us observe it as well?
Yeah.
I can put this out there. A crazy one that I've approached the employer myself is, for whatever reason, one of the counties follows daylight saving times for their start time.
Well, hold on. We don't recognize daylight savings time.
So I don't know why it's being observed.
Confused.
More so us and our members. And we have actually been trying to work, but the proposal for that came in is, why are we following daylight savings time for the start time? It should just be a set year-round. This is the time we start. And actually, that's important, because for families, it sets who takes the kids to school, who picks them up from school. And if every 6 months that's got to change, that's just another fight on husband and wife are going to have.
Yeah.
So
we all have enough of those already. Okay, so now you've got the 400 proposals. So what happens next? Like, walk me through the process from start to finish for any individual proposal.
So now we have to make, for bargaining one, there's over 120 chief stewards statewide. So we have to make 120 of these binders, get them out to each and every single one statewide. And then, I want to say May 21st, 22nd, we're going to have what we know as the full negotiation committee, where everybody comes in, and we're going to go through each and every single proposal.
So all 120 chief stewards have to look through all 400 proposals.
Yes. Because
line by line.
Line by line.
Oh, boy.
And you got to remember, we had a format for each of our members to go over to fill out. It looked like an application. A lot of them followed this. Some of them just took a picture on a napkin. Some of them took a screenshot, sent it in. But it was signed. That was the most important. They had their signatures on it. So it's all of them we have to go through. Some proposals, you had about 14 proposals on one paper. But we have to go through each one. The chief steward that had the base yard that submitted the proposal, he'll stand up, speak on behalf of the proposal. And then the chief stewards actually go over which one we want to modify, make it stronger, which one we want for everybody to have. And then we actually select the ENC, the individuals that sit across the table from the employer.
So it needs to pass an internal process first, and then once it's vetted and sort of signed off on by all of the chief stewards, then you take that proposal to the employer.
Yeah, and it's an internal process we have to do. There are proposals that can actually hurt us. I don't know why one individual, a member of this family, would do it, but he felt or she felt that we have too much vacation and sick leave, and we should give some up.
What? That's a hell no.
Yeah. I think I'll have 120 plus votes of saying remove that proposal. So, but every member has a right to submit a proposal, and I'm pretty sure he had a reason why. And if he's at a chief steward in attendance, he can explain to the other members.
He or she can take as little vacation time as they want. I'm Definitely taking all of mine.
Well, if they wanted, they could sign some over and let us.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We've been beating the drum for quite some time now. It's a big year for elections, both state and federal.
Yeah, we got to get our members out and register to vote. It's so critical that we got to be registered to vote. It's our constitutional right.
You're going to hear a lot of people say, and I've said this myself in the past, I think probably most people have been guilty of this at some point or another, but it's like, oh, I'm just one vote. My vote won't count. What would you say to that?
That's so not true. Every vote matters. We've seen elections come down to less than a dozen votes.
And how many UPW members do we have?
Yeah. Exactly, over 12,000.
And all of our UPW members have brothers, sisters, moms, dads, wives, kids.
You know, that's always a message I always put out there. We're the blue-collar workers. We're the ones that provide the work that nobody else wants to do. And we're the alpha males in the family, alpha females. And we guarantee you got 5, 10 members easily will listen to us when we say we need you to vote this way. So even though we're 12,000 strong, we got way more family backing us that we can get to register to vote as well.
But you said something key a minute ago, which is that, I mean, certain votes have been decided by as little as a few dozen votes.
Critical races, it's crazy. The election isn't called until a day or two after the elections is done because they got to do recounts of how close it is. And just because it's not just one individual saying my vote doesn't count, it's a number of individuals. And if they actually went out, followed the recommendations of who we're voting for, you could actually flip an election.
But most importantly, you can't vote unless you register, and Hawaii has long been known as a pretty apathetic state when it comes to voter turnout and voter registration.
You know, our website is going to have a link. It's, of course, upwhawaii.org/vote, and you can actually just go straight in and they'll be able to get you registered. So we're doing our part to get our members out there. In the upcoming Section 8 meetings, at-large Section 8 meetings we're coming up with, a big push is to get our members to be registered to vote.
So get out and vote and go and register, first off. And speaking of registering, something I'm sure we're going to be talking about so many things about Maui coming up over the next, weeks, months, years of things we didn't think of initially where Maui residents need help. And the voter registration is one of those things. If I'm a Maui UPW member and I lost my home, my voter registration address might not exist anymore. So what do you tell that person?
You know what? They can use their temporary homes. They can use their hotels if they're staying at the hotels as their address to register. So it's a big push for UPW. We were one of the first out there to get assistance. And at this time coming around, we don't want their constitutional right taken away from them. They were voters before. They are always able to vote. And we're going to try our best to get out there to get the message out, to get people to register to vote.
If you are a displaced Maui resident, you can also get voter registration online at elections.hawaii.gov as well.
It's a really quick process. I didn't realize it was that easy a few years ago when I had to double check, because when you go on, you can just enter your information and it'll tell you if you're already registered and where you need to go.
Yeah.
So simple process.
Yeah. And as always, our thoughts and prayers go out to everyone on Maui. This is going to be, a years-long fight to get all those Maui residents back to normal, whatever the new normal will look like for them.
Yeah, this is not just a few months. This is going to be some time before our families are all fully back on their feet.
Yeah. Also, we have the Chief Stewards training at UH West. Clear?
So one of our biggest commitment was always education and training for the members, especially our chief stewards and our stewards in the Bayshore, the first line of defense for our union. We entered an agreement with Dr. Lopez, who's the director of CLEAR, the Center of Labor, Education, and Research. And they're coming in June, she's going to start training for our chief stewards and our stewards. She's actually going to start off with labor history. Before you know where you're going, you got to know where you came from. And then she's going to go into contract enforcement and interpretation. And then she's going to end it with organizing, how to step up our game, making sure all the members of our base yards are part of the union.
So if I'm a steward, how do I sign up for this?
So at each of the division meetings, we'll be setting up dates. So always go to upwhawaii.org for updated calendar dates coming up so you can be in attendance. And then, of course, just call your UR,
Right.
and they can get you the latest information.
Now, this isn't mandatory, right?
It is not mandatory,
But it's highly suggested.
it's not mandatory. You're not required to be there. You don't have to be in attendance to the training, but you should. Every little bit of more support and help that you can get so you can better support your members out there is so important.
Information and education is power, right?
Yeah.
And, I mean, you're just giving yourself, more tools to succeed in your position as a chief steward.
Yes, and just recently, our field organizer, Brandy Jara, with a few other staff, Brandy Kilakini, they were able to do one of the first ones here on Oahu, where they brought in all the chief stewards, and I want to say for about 3.5 hours, they did critical training where we mimic ASHME's study tour, where each department came in, did a presentation, what the department does for the membership. And they went into contract language, Weingarten rights, and so forth. And at the end, they did a survey. And out of that survey, it was so positive because so much of the chief stewards were saying we wanted more time. We wanted more of this information. It was so much to take in, but we wanted more. And I'm going to get that for them. I'm going to make sure it's out there.
I think when you're up close with this clear program, you really start to see and understand the importance of it, right?
Yeah, it's so important.
Yeah.
And it's always just about supporting our family and uplifting each other.
And scholarships are also important. And since the last time we had a chance to meet, we had our first bingo, I believe, our first bingo game.
No, it's actually the first for Oahu.
First for Oahu. I'm an Oahu boy, so for me it's the first,
So the island of Kauai held our first one last year, and then Oahu stepped up and held one this year. And it was a beautiful night, awesome food, fun for our family and friends. And the grand prize winner for a blackout bingo was a round trip for two to Vegas.
Nice. The ninth island.
Yes. And all the proceeds, all the donations that came in all went to the scholarship program, which is so important because the first round of scholarships going out, deadline is May 20th.
All right. And I heard bingo was packed, right? It was just like sold out.
It was a beautiful night, and that actually scares us because members we're now hearing more about it, and they want us to put on another.
Yeah, they got the FOMO.
Yeah, we have to look for a bigger hall. We have to go look for a bigger place now. It was a beautiful night. The workers at the Veterans Center in Kile Lagoon, they helped us out. It was an awesome evening. Our family and friends, kids had prizes. The members had prizes. We didn't realize how competitive and violent some of our members can get over bingo, but it was a beautiful evening. Beautiful.
And we'll just leave that at that.
And I got to point this one thing out. The prizes we had was all donations from staff and membership leaders, and it's so important that we got to recognize these individuals that stepped up to go above and beyond to make this night special. My brother Kimo, who likes to try to take the claim that he's the handsome one in the family, but mom let him eat lead paint growing up, so he thinks different from the rest of us. He cooked a beautiful dinner that night. It was an awesome evening. Beef stew, soyu chicken, kimchi. It was an awesome evening.
All the local staples.
Food, yes. And then Kurt Subota, who stepped up, and he was the one that donated the round trip to make the evening just even more special.
So one of the members actually donated that trip.
Yeah.
Wow.
He really wanted Oahu's bingo to stand out.
That's incredible. Yeah. Wow. And if you miss the bingo, if you do have the FOMO, we do actually have something else big coming up as well.
We have our first annual Jimmy Toledo golf tournament coming up in July. It's huge. We got getting other unions to actually sponsor the golf tournament. So it's going to be a big event for us. But more importantly, it's avenues to be able to raise money for the scholarship. one thing I've never wanted to do was take money from the members' pocket to do a scholarship program. We wanted to create opportunities have these events to make it a fun-filled day for these members to be able to get the funds to do the scholarship.
100% the golf tournament will sell out, right? So register your team now. If I want to register a team, where do I go?
upw.org. There's actually a banner up. Let me correct that. The banner on the website actually is for the scholarship. So as soon as you open up, there's a banner for the scholarship. Click it, takes you to where to go for the scholarship. But on our website is also where you can go get more information on the golf tournament.
Yeah, and Hawaii golf tournament's always so fun, right?
Yeah.
And this golf tournament will fill up quickly, so register now. Don't be on Hawaiian time for that one.
We will have a beer cart. It will be making its way around.
I hope so.
It will be making its rounds around that course.
Now, I've saved the best for last. We've talked about it, I think, almost, if not every episode. Temporary hazard pay, what some people like to call THP. We have some major updates on this.
We have major updates, but before I go into the updates, I want to stress that, I said this time and time again, any victory out there for the hazard pay is a victory for all the local unions. But at the same time, in our private sector, who are individuals who work at hospitals, long-term care homes, rehabs, dialysis centers, right now their contracts didn't have the language of the hazard pay. Only our public sector had.
Keep in mind, we just went through a pandemic.
Yeah, and these individuals who are frontline in center, just like our public center, we're still fighting at the table to get that language into their contract. So it's a fight on all sides of the table right now of trying to get what's in the language of our contract for our public sector and our private sector to get them the recognition of the work they did. And they continue to do it. Some of our hospitals are still required to take swabs and take the boosters. Yeah,
and God knows what's coming up in the future, right? We need to protect these people.
Well, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole of conspiracy theories. I doubt our podcast is going to change it to coast. So, but it is important because as we shared recently, the arbitration for city and county Honolulu just ended. We're going to be getting a decision as early as July on what the arbitrator is going to award. County of Hawaii, May 13th, I believe, the 12th or the 13th, arbitration starts. We are still in talks with the mayor trying to reach a settlement, but like we've explained, we're not going to give extensions to that deadline. We want to go into arbitration.
And for every county that is going to arbitration, it's only after negotiations we're at an impasse.
It's not only at an impasse, just a complete no movement on the employer side. And a lot of the employers took the position because of former Governor Ige suspended the HRLS, the law, that they didn't have to recognize the contract during the pandemic. That's what put us in this situation.
Big victory in April that against the Department of Human Resources and Development.
Well, I don't know if it's a victory, but we caught them doing something that was wrong.
Can't put one over on UPW. Not with Kalani on the watch.
It was with the executive branch. It was actually from the AG's office that they completely ghosted us. We were getting ready to go into arbitration, and they weren't returning phone calls.
Which that's a negotiating tactic sometimes, right?
But to the point where it's over a month long, no emails were being returned, no phone calls. Like, we got stood up on prom night.
Yeah.
It was just horrible. We had the bouquet ready, we had the corsage, but they just didn't show up.
Yeah. They gave the rose to someone else.
We were not the bachelor. So, but it's sad that they went to this tactic, and that we actually followed a perverted practice with the Labor Relation Board. And we're going to file charges against them, basically suing the department and the AGs for violating the process. And it was something
It's negligence, isn't it?
Yes, and that's why it's so important, because when we was working with Governor Green and he put together a team to start negotiations, that was one of the agreements we had, that we would work hand in hand with the team to try to come to a settlement. But at the same time, we didn't want no delays in the date of the arbitration. And we're not sure why the AG's office took this position, but the hearing is coming up, and what we're pushing for is we want dates where they're actually at the table with us.
So we've talked about Honolulu. We've talked about the Big Island. What's going on in regards to Maui on this?
Maui was the first one to come through the door with their settlement. So I gotta make sure everybody always gives praise and thanks for those county workers, because they're the ones that actually gave the foundation for a lot of our public sector unions to be able to push forward and get our foots in the door and get everything done. Judiciary Ledge just passed the funding of their bill. We just saw the breakdowns of all the payments they're going to be receiving. Nice checks coming. Separate checks. That's what we got to make sure they get. It's not on payroll. So all their overtimes they're working is not going to get double taxed. So we just want to really stress that really good victories for us, and it's going to help set the groundworks as we go forward.
And we will obviously be keeping you posted on that through the summer. There's a lot going on and a lot coming up. One more time, voter registration.
You can actually come to our website where we can get you the link. You can go to the regular elections.hawaii.gov, get out there, register to vote. It's so important that they see the members of UPW out there active. And
also, when you're on the UPW website, you can also sign up for that golf tournament as well.
You can get one of your family, friends who own companies, anyone that wants to be able to sponsor our tournament. It's always going back to the keikis. And I got to stress that we need people to just send in their applications, put in their resumes, be one of the first 5 to get the scholarship. As our scholarship grows, the foundation's goal overall is also to take care of the family and friends that are out there that are in college already, that they can come back and apply for the scholarship. We want to expand it, make it a larger dollar amount so it can really help the kids out in college, and anything that help our working families.
And all you got to do is go play bingo or play golf or do all this cool, fun stuff to support it.
And you know what? I got to stress, one of the members from the Big Island reached out to the foundation that he wants to start the process to organize a bingo night on the Big Island.
Awesome.
So Hawaii Division, get ready, get your dauber pens out. We're coming over there for a bingo night.
All right, Kalani. Well, thank you so much. Again, my name is Flash, and this has been another episode of United 808.